Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner Davis.
You're muted, Brother Edward.
Okay, I bet I'm not muted now.
You're good.
I'm good. Good to go. Oh, but I know my viewers are not pleased with that, but they are. Good evening. Welcome to the program. I'm Ed McQueen, your host, and of course, April Garner Davis is the co-host, and she's well in tune today because we got a lot to talk about, April, and we need to get some things going right away and see how much the community can give us feedback on this issue. And so, April, I think you're in more position to talk about it than I am. So, would you like to just continue on, or let me just hand it over to you?
Now, Brother Edward, you know you are familiar with the Academy of Hope and Dr. Eugene Bellamy Jr. You know that you are. We all are in the community, and we would just like to, thank him for being with us tonight to share some good news about the Academy of Hope and to give us more information about, what's happened since he joined the school in December and also what's to come. But first, I'd like to ask our audience watching this evening, if you will, please drop your comments and questions in the chat for our guests. And we will definitely bring that to the forefront so that Dr. Bellamy can answer any of your questions. Tonight, Dr. Bellamy is here to talk about how much the community can help to secure the things that are a part of his vision for the future of the Academy of Hope. And so we welcome him, and of course, we welcome all of you to help us as we walk through some of the accomplishments that have happened, some of the milestones, things that are going on with the students and the staff since school started. As you know, or may not know, the Academy of Hope is a year-round school. And so they start a little bit earlier than the Horry County School District students who typically will or begin school usually in a couple of weeks. And so the students are already well underway with learning and all the wonderful things. And we just can't wait to hear from Dr. Bellamy and get the scoop on what's going on. So without further ado.
That's why I want to give you that privilege because of this good news. I just love good news about that academy. It's been doing such wonderful things. No, really. And wonderful things. And, the community needs to know about all these accomplishments and things that are happening. And maybe that's why they got a waiting list, I guess. But
right.
But, we'll make some way. We'll make a way.
Yes, absolutely. Before we go any further, of course, we have to say good evening to Verdell Beckman out of Columbia, South Carolina. She's written a whole dissertation about Dr. Bellamy. We love you, Verdell. Thank you so much for showing your support. And shout out to Claudine Lance Schofield for being here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And also Betty Goss, thank you for joining us. And please share this broadcast across social media so that everyone can hear from Dr. Bellamy and can join in the conversation. So, Dr. Bellamy, how are you doing this evening? Thank you for joining us.
I am doing well. I'm doing well in the fight, continuing the good fight.
All right. Right. Staying in good trouble, huh?
That's right. Good trouble. It's the best trouble to be in.
Yes, it is. Education is something that we absolutely cannot take for granted, and especially when it comes down to making sure that our students excel throughout our communities. And, they have to be given all of the essentials and resources that are needed in order to create wonderful educational environments, to give them all of the nurturing and coaching and mentoring that they need. And I know that as a part of your vision, all of those elements are definitely embedded in what it is that you plan to do as the executive director and principal of the Academy of Hope. So I shared with the audience that the purpose tonight is to talk about some of the things that have happened since you joined the Academy of Hope in December of 2025. Kind of give us kind of a snapshot of, where you started and where you're headed, but also some of the things in between. And then, of course, to talk about how the community can help as you move forward with your vision for a brighter future at the Academy of Hope. So with that being said, I'm going to, kick it off to you, and you can start how you like.
So first, let me say thank you to both of you for having me on again to talk about the Academy of Hope. For anyone who knows me, they know that my heart is with young people and creating environments to see them thrive. And the same holds true here at the Academy of Hope. This has been one of the most enduring roles that God has put in my path, but I am confident, as I said, coming through the door back in December 2025, January 2026, I still have to believe that eyes have not seen, nor have ears heard, nor has it entered into the imagination of us what is going to happen with the Academy of Hope. Coming through the door, we were at about 85 students. By the end of last year, we had increased our enrollment to 94 students, and I refer to them as scholars. So let me switch that to scholars. We want to reference them to what we speak over their life. And so far projected this year, with those who are registered, we are at a projection of 120 scholars for this year, and we have two new students coming tomorrow. And so the word is out about the great work that we are doing here at the Academy of Hope. But of course, that does not come without some challenges, which we'll talk to later. If I could, I would like to share some pictures, if that is okay, about where this all started when I came through the door in December over my Christmas break of 2025. And so there were things that mattered to me. What the environment of the school looks like is critically important. So we cleaned up some storage rooms and organized that with our instructional materials. We cleaned up the book room to get that organized so that teachers actually had access to the instructional resources that were available in the school. We created a new teachers lounge for our teachers to be able to work out of at the front of the school. We created a data room because in education, everything is about the data. So for the teachers to be able to come together and look at the data and talk about the data and how we were going to work together to move our students, we created an additional staff room at the back of the building for our primary staff. We created a purposeful secondary storage room. We began organizing spaces in the front of the school. And over this summer, we've actually painted the hallways to make it more warm and inviting. So we went from a beige, a brownish looking color to white. And that has really given our hallways new life. We ensured the stage was safe and functional coming into the building. The roof was caved in. We had some mold problems, some asbestos problems, and we were able to partner with some community stakeholders, and for free, they came in to update the back of the stage, and now that's a functional part of what we do. We rearranged the cafeteria, and then there were so many other spaces that we cleaned up, and that is the reason, the grand scheme of things we know we're going to get to, that it was necessary for us to secure a new location for our scholars, and we're excited about the future and what is to come for our scholars as it relates to being in a new building, a space that is newer, a space that is cleaner, a place that is refreshing for our families and our scholars. So we put a lot of work into the space that we're in because you have to make sure where you are doing everything that you can to serve and serve well. But the work does not end here, and we look forward to continuing that work.
Fantastic. And I saw where you had the future at the bottom and then ... I guess there's more to come about what you expect in the future, right?
Yes, our future is just that, you know, we recognize that there was an article that came out yesterday that talked about us securing a new location. And so that was just to share, to address that article, and that is our future, a new location. And we will be excited when we can transition to that new location.
Okay, man. This is awesome. This is good news, man. I mean, but I thought it was very detailing and very transparent, for lack of a better word, for you to show what was and then what you all have done in order to make it habitable or more habitable. I'm sure that it was probably habitable to go there, but with some negligence or inefficient things, right? And I appreciate that. I hope the audience, our viewing audience, appreciate that what you all have done in order to prep for that.
Absolutely. And just to talk about, we do, and Ms. Garner Davis, is this a good place to bring up some of the accomplishments that we have made for now?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and that's another thing that I would like to share. I think it's important, again, to put in the community what is actually taking place. You know, it's nothing like telling your own story. And so for us, since December 2025, I work hard to lead with integrity and transparency. And I share with my staff that we are always on par for success, which is professional, accountable, and respectful. I talked a little bit earlier about the increased scholar enrollment at the end of last school year, as well as our projection for this school year. Since December, we were able to raise, with some of the fundraising initiatives that we had in place, roughly $32,000, with some of that being in-kind donations to our school, and the remainder of those funds being used to help assist with payables that we've had for the school. Again, the article was released yesterday that we secured a new school location. We've restored several relationships with the South Carolina Department of Education. One area in particular that I want to highlight is that we got our food service audit approved. And so we are now in the stages where we are getting back to having truly free breakfast and lunch for all of our scholars. We have to go through our probationary period this school year, and then we can apply for CFP. But we're also now able to do reimbursements for food services, which we haven't been able to do for the last 2 years. So that is definitely going to help our school. We've begun the restoration process of relationships with Horry County schools and making sure that we're getting all of our documents submitted on time, and to the necessary individuals, and just building stronger relationships with various offices within Horry County School District who serves as our authorizer. We have maximized our membership in the South Carolina Charter School Alliance. They have been extremely helpful with helping us navigate and guide us through the charter world and all of the new laws that are coming out around charter schools. We've increased our financial oversight and transparency with meeting with our accountants once every 2 weeks with a finance committee from our board. That has definitely been eye-opening and has yielded much information to help us move forward into the future. Created a welcome environment for scholars and families. It felt like we were doing a family event every other week, and April was like, Eugene, you need to calm down a little bit. But we were excited just to have our families in the building. And I think it speaks to our ability to recruit more this year because of that family feel that we have created. We started the initial rebranding of our school with our new mascot being the Eagles, and this was voted on by our scholars. with a number of mascots that they chose, but they chose the Eagles, and that's why you hear us say, "Come soar with us." We're embracing this new mascot. Renovations to the school to eliminate clutter and major mold and asbestos issues, which was shown previously. And then we've retained and hired faculty and staff reflective of our student population. And that is the biggest piece for me. Our new staff is just absolutely amazing, to say the least. We've only been in school 4 days, but to watch them forge relationships with our scholars and meet the demands of the various needs that they have has been amazing. So we, again, as I started, we're putting in the work, and we are marching on with the good fight. And as April said, we're getting into good trouble, shaking some things up, but we're definitely excited about the future of the Academy of Hope.
So, Dr. Bellamy, one of the things that I'd like for you to concentrate on, so that our audience understands how important enrollment is for the school, is the fact that while student enrollment is important, daily attendance is essential to everything supporting operations, especially the funding. So if you will, kind of take us on a walk through where we were as a school from the standpoint of daily attendance and what your hopes are for the coming year.
So we already have, with our current scholars, an Attendance Matters initiative. For charter schools, we are not financed by our enrollment alone. The students actually have to show up, and they have what you call the average daily membership. And so they are looking at the number of scholars who come to our building every day. So even if we have 120 students enrolled in our school, if the 120 students are not reporting to school daily, let's say, I'm going to just throw a number out there, let's say only 95 of those students are coming regularly, we are only funded for the 95 who attend regularly, which means we have to serve 25 students without any funding. Because of how those numbers work, it's a rolling ADM. So they look at the 45th day and the 135th day report. At the end of last year, our ADM for the 135th day was around 84 students attending regularly, and that does not include pre-K because that's a whole different pot of money. Therefore, our school will only be funded until January for those 84 scholars, which means if we get the 120 scholars that we are projected to have, 36 of those students we don't receive funding for. And so that is why local funding becomes critically important for charter schools. And the best example that I can give is Horry County Schools is our authorizer. However, we're not funded the same as all of the public schools. And so the penny sales tax that we pay for, none of those funds come to charter schools. So where they can replace, as they did the Whittemore Park Middle School for $55 million, all of those funds go strictly to the public schools. We only get the per pupil allocation for our school based upon our average daily membership, regardless of our enrollment. And so, again, it is imperative that we have a full-fledged fundraising initiative that is out there, because the other roughly 20 to 40% of our budget that we need to function has to come from community sponsors, our business partners, and not just one-time giving, but recurring gifts year after year to meet the increased needs of our school based upon our enrollment. And so that's kind of how funding works for the charter schools. And that's statewide. That's not just for the Academy of Hope. That's just how the formula works.
Mm-hmm. I think that was definitely important to share because, the community tends to believe, or the perception is that the charter schools are receiving the exact same type of funding that what I call regular public charter or public schools are receiving. And that's not the case, which means that that fundraising arm is especially important because you have the allocations that are given to the school on a monthly basis. whatever that annual budget may be for the charter school. But you always need extra funding to underpin the operating expenses and all the things that are needed to operate the school. And without a strong fundraising arm, you run into situations where you deplete your revenues because you're constantly paying bills, or resources aren't there, whatever the case is. So that's always a very interesting dynamic. And charter schools operate so differently. Learned a lot from working with all of you on this. And I think that one of the ways that the community can help in terms of this aspect of charter schools is to, first of all, keep in mind that every little bit helps when it comes down to the charter school environment. And the support that can be generated for the Academy of Hope can be done in a number of ways. And so talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you need help with, and what the primary, I would say, capital fundraising goal is moving into the next year, especially with the relocation at the helm.
And so I will say we look at our needs in three phases. And so one is what was lacking upon me coming on as executive director and principal. And what I mean by that was, what were the outstanding payables? What are the things that we need to get paid off to get us to ground zero? So that's phase one. Phase two is, what is it going to take for us to move potentially into our new location, and the things that we have to address with that, with the State Department, Office of School Facilities, and all of those pieces. And then the third piece is, what does the future hold for the Academy of Hope, the longevity of our school, and how do we get community and business partners to commit to investing in the Academy of Hope beyond a one-time giving. And so when we look at where we were coming through the door, we want to address the payables that we have at the Academy of Hope. And in full transparency, we're talking roughly $95,000 to $100,000 just to address those payables, to get us to a place where I call ground zero. The second phase, in terms of moving into the new building, we kind of missed the mark in securing this building within the year time frame of the last time it was used as a school. Therefore, they treat this like a new build. And so there are some things we have to look at and address that we wouldn't have had to address if we were able to secure the building within the year's time. And those numbers, depending on what OSF comes back to tell us, could run us upwards of $250,000. And then when we talk about the longevity of the school, we should maintain in our coffers at least enough funding to, between charter schools and public schools. And it also highlights why we actually need our scholars in the building every day, to ensure that if we have 120 students attending the Academy of Hope, that we are getting paid to service 120 scholars on a daily basis. And we know that things happen, life happens. Some parents have issues that arise, and we can address those as they go. But what we can't afford to do is to continue to serve a specific number of people and then lose roughly 25% of funding because of attendance issues. And again, that's what we're focused on to start this year. We've stressed that with parents during our open house. We've stressed that with communication that has gone out to parents, and we will continue to stress that because we do want to maximize the funding that we get from the state. But we also know that we still need a broad local and community support to address some of the issues that just won't be covered by the allocation that we get from the State Department.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that you have enough organizational staff there to come up with strategy? I got to word it that way, to come up with a strategy to address these deficiencies that you just mentioned. And one in particular for me was the retainment of attendance. You spoke in one case where, well, even though it was just hypothetical, but if 95, out of 125, if do you see that as a concerning issue right now? And if so, do you have enough time to develop a strategy for which to keep or retain those students?
Well, I can say that we've definitely put some processes and protocols in place. We've reviewed the process and protocols that Horry County has put out, because we do honor a lot of those processes, and we've shared those with parents, and we're sticking to them. We have trained our staff that the first day scholars miss, we need to be calling home to see what's going on and reminding parents, hey, that's 1 out of the 10 days. Just keep in mind, attendance matters. We need them here if possible. Can you schedule your appointments at the end of the day, or even if you schedule them first thing in the morning? If they're not going to miss a half day of school, please bring them so that we can count them from attendance. So it takes a full out effort, so all of our staff understands that need. Thus far, the scholars that we've had here, we've not had, I think everybody who's shown up so far has come every day. And so we are stressing it. We're trying to make this as urgent as we can, and as easy to understand as we can for our scholars and our families to understand. So I think with having that system in place where teachers are a part of that process, our front office staff is a part of that process, I'm a part of that process. I don't foresee or anticipate attendance being an issue. We have shared with some parents where that was an issue last year, because we are a school of choice. If it does become an issue for us, then we do have the right to recommend that they potentially enter public school. Because there are several factors. Some of the factors were, the car broke down, and we have a family we're servicing out of Myrtle Beach, so there was no way to get them to the stop that we have put in place. And to that end, to address some of that, we have added new stops to our bus routes, so that we can address some of the concerns that were brought to us by families last year. So I think with the added bus stops and the full out team effort by the staff and the administrative team, we're definitely going to have a better handle on that. Unfortunately, when I came in last year, there were some students who had already missed 25, 30 days, and there was no fixing that. We once you go past 10 and you don't have the necessary documentation, then it kind of puts you in a bind. But we are starting out strong with that initiative, and again, it's a full out effort by the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just based on what you just said, you do have buses then. So how? I didn't know that, and I'm glad to know that. What do you foresee in terms of making sure that your resources are adequate, both monetarily and in human resources? Any fundraising things on the agenda?
Well, we do have a fundraising committee that consists of Ms. Monet Bassant, our board member Monet Bassant, board member Dolores Rozier, and board member Larry White. I know that they have a fundraising committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow during the day, in which they are hashing out some fundraising initiatives that will be rolled out very, very, very soon. And what I will say is, it's the biggest campaign that we have right now is our tiers of giving. We have 5 tiers in which people can give. And if they go to our website, www.theacademyofhope.org, and they click on donate at the top, we have our Friends of the Academy, and that is a donation of $25 to $99. We have our Donors of Hope That is a donation of $100 to $499. We have our Hope Ambassador, which is a donation of $500 to $999, and our Trailblazer of Hope, $1,000 to $4,999, and our Hope Partners, which is $5,000 plus. And this is what I'm speaking to when I say if we can build a grassroots campaign where there are individuals who are willing to donate on an annual basis, regardless of the tier. So even if you're a friend of the Academy and you paid that $25, if you are willing to do that annually, that's going to help us. If you can't pay the $25 and you can only give $5 or $10, we're welcoming of that as well. And we have several ways to give. But for charter schools, this is the major fundraising campaign, finding those businesses, community stakeholders, or, partners who are willing to say on an annual basis, we're going to give to the Academy of Hope. What that does for us is that helps us shore up what is that foundational amount that we know is going to come in to the Academy of Hope from a local funding source. And then from there, when we're talking about our fundraising campaign, whether that is a brunch, whether that is an art walk, whether that is, dinner sales or whatever, we can say, hey, our baseline right now is $200,000. We have that committed. So based upon the needs for this year, there's an additional $100,000 that we need to raise through fundraising of some sort. And so for us, the best giving or the easiest giving in terms of a fundraising campaign is for us to develop these tiers of giving with our community stakeholders and businesses.
And Eugene, I'll even add that I know you mentioned annual giving, but recurring gifts are extremely important as well. And your annual gift can actually be divided into recurring gifts.
That's right.
But also, if you make the commitment, say it is $25 each month, what that does in terms of local funding is it helps the finance committee also anticipate what type of funding is coming through that can support even unexpected expenses at the school. And so it's really important that, no amount be overwhelming. There are always ways to support. And, sometimes it's not even about giving an actual dollar amount, although unrestricted dollars are the best way to support the school. There are, tons of other ways that the school can be sponsored, adopted, or supported. And so, Dr. Bellamy, if you'll share, for example, some of the ways that some costs can be offset throughout the school year, whether it be, textbooks, food, transportation, or what have you. And I want to go back for just a second to the question that Brother Edward had about buses. Now, I'm going to say this, again, this broadcast is all about how the community can help and what's needed for the future of the Academy of Hope. Yes, the school does have buses. There are, I think, 2 buses. However, they are out. They're dated. It's what we have. It's what the school has. And the local funding is what's needed to make sure that we can upgrade and actually provide, even better transportation for our students. But it's difficult to do that. It's difficult to, get into a lease for a new bus or even purchase a new bus, as an example, if the community support is not there. So I just want to make that point as well.
I suppose that and hopefully people who are viewing this, I want you all to understand that you can contact, the Academy of Hope for donation. Also, is there a phone number, Dr. Bellamy?
843-397-5719.
But I'm envisioning. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brother.
Yeah, I'm envisioning somebody's going to call you and say, "Can we donate a bus?" Okay. No, somebody to do that.
That's a great reason.
Yeah, right. Can we donate a bus, or can and they may just lease the bus, Okay, but it'll be in you all's possession. Okay. I'm speaking to our viewers right now that some of these things are needed. Okay, and Dr. Bellamy just listed some of what needed to be addressed regarding those buses. Now, Dr. Bellamy, do you have any what we used to call mean time before failure issues with the buses right now? I'm putting everything out there on the table because people might call. That's why I wanted to get the number. They might call and say, "Well, what can we do?" You know, and those are that's kind of response that I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, interestingly enough, our green bus it went down on us today for a braking issue, and we're working through that. Our bus driver called, and the safety of our scholars is vitally important. The one thing I will say though is we are one of the few charter schools who actually offers transportation. Most charter schools, the only transportation is that parents drop their kids off, and so it is truly a privilege to have us be able to have as many stops as we have, as we call them, along our route.
Right.
And so we do have. That's one of the areas that, as April has stated, those unexpected costs that arise, that we need those. What's the word? April just said it. The funds where we can spend however we need to spend them, as opposed to it being designated to a specific thing.
Yeah.
So that's one area. Another area that we have learned through those finance meetings that we have set up every 2 weeks, and board member Garner Davis is a part of that, is that one of the things that have hit us the hardest is our food service program. And so covering those items while we have worked to get out of this audit, and to be able to provide apply for reimbursements. And just know that when I say reimbursements, that means we may spend out $10,000, but we can get reimbursed
that money.
For roughly about 35 to 55%, depending on what it is. So we're not getting 100% reimbursement for what we're spending out. And so we do have a wonderful partnership with the Low Country Food Bank that has been helping us kind of keep some of those costs down. And so any organization that can assist in that way will definitely help us on keeping the food costs down until we can get to the place where we can get our 100% reimbursement, or free breakfast and lunch for all of our scholars.
I do have one comment or question that I want to pull onto the screen.
Okay.
Thank you, Priscilla Fuller, for joining us tonight. She says, if you had to prioritize needs, what would be the top 3 that the school needs? Great question.
I would just speak to what I said before, and it is very, so from the micro perspective, it is the food service, the transportation, and being able to hit those every time those things arise, and those things that are happening on the daily basis. From the macro perspective, it really is getting those payables taken care of that were in place prior to my arrival, and at least getting us to ground zero. And then heavily important for us is getting the needs met for the transition into the new building, because that is something that needs to happen sooner rather than later. And I cannot stress that enough. We need to thank Juniper Bay for the time that we've shared with them and be able to move into the new location. And then beyond that, again, from the macro, is rebuilding that reserve fund so that should we hit hard times, and when I say hard times, let me phrase it this way. If we have 120 students come into our building, we're only getting funding for 84 till January. So we need funds to get the additional instructional materials, to pay for the additional food services, and all those things that does not come through our general allocation for our school. And so having that in place to serve our scholars is critically important. So from a financial standpoint, that's the power of that. I do want to say that we do have opportunities to volunteer as well. We have put on our social media page, volunteer today. Together we can soar higher and build brighter. In the area of our art classroom, we actually had a wonderful partnership with the community person. Last year, the students enjoy art. They want art back. We've been able to offer art for a couple of days so far this year. Our media center to get our scholars reading again, and in partnership are an extension of our Rise with Reading Lifted by Hope initiative, and that aligns with Superintendent Cliff Jones' Rise with Reading initiative. Front office support, Miss Deborah Van Nostrin is critical to what we do, and she's all over the place all the time, but having someone who can just come in and answer phones for us and take messages for us so we can get in there with our staff and students is important, and she helps in more ways than one. Cafeteria support. Right now, we are still dealing pretty much with the skeletal staff at the Academy of Hope. We have an amazing person in our cafeteria, but having community members who will just come help serve the kids. That's from 10:30 to 12 o'clock every day, from 11 o'clock to 12:30, I'm sorry, every day. So not a long stretch of time, but just to have community members who can come in and volunteer to support in that way. And then any other gifts that you have that you are willing to offer to our scholars. I know one of the things we talked about is getting our robotics team back together. Our scholars are interested in theater. They're interested in gospel choir. They're interested in a step team. These are all things that they have signed up for, the clubs that we have. They want to do debate. So we're looking at having a mock trial team this year for our middle schoolers. For instance, we are starting the Distinguished Gentlemen of the Academy of Hope back up and running, as well as the Ladies of Distinction, which will be mentoring programs for our young men and our young women. So we have a lot of things that we want to do that touches the heart of what we do, which is our scholars. And we need community volunteers to come in to support that. And that could be somewhat financial. Another thing that we have is Adopt a Classroom campaign that we're going on. If you want to partner with it, because there are community members who said, I want to know where my money's going immediately. I don't want to do the free-for-all funding. I want to know. So one of the quickest ways to do that is to adopt a classroom and say to the teacher, I will guarantee you snacks monthly for your scholars. I will guarantee you at least one pizza party during the course of the year. There are various things, and we have a flyer for that. So those are some immediate things that people can do to support the interest and needs of the school.
Okay, we have another question. Are there other grant opportunities available to support your efforts?
There are several grant opportunities, and I do want to give this person a shout out, and she does things in the shadows. But Ms. Sherlyn DeWitt, we did have her support last year, and she has worked with us to apply for roughly 21 grants and the total amount of $6.1 million. And we're waiting to hear from those. Grants, they have these windows of time, some of them 3 months, some of them 6 months, some of them, 9 months. We're waiting to hear back from those opportunities that she helped us apply to. And we're hopeful we can just continue to put applications out there, understanding that most of these grants are national grants that we're applying for. And so we're fighting public schools, private schools, charter schools all over the nation for these funds. And so there are grant opportunities. One that we're waiting to hear from our State Department is the 21st Century Grant, which is after school, an after school grant, and roughly 10 to 12 of those are awarded throughout the state. And so we have applied for that this year to help offset some costs and to provide additional services and opportunities for our scholars before school and after school. And so we're hopeful that we get that, but we are constantly looking for opportunities to apply for grants. And if there's someone from the community who's really great at that, We talked about with the board finding someone who truly understands philanthropic efforts and who understands how to go after the grants, understands how to complete the application so that we can secure those funds. So if we have a community stakeholder out there who's willing to support us with that, we would greatly appreciate the support.
Mhm. Mhm. Dr. Bellamy, I think that, you've done a lot to talk about the needs of the school, and also what these needs relate to. And, it's no secret at this point that, a lot of it is rooted in trying to get to like you said, a better financial footing than what you came into, but also because you want to move forward with the vision that you have for the Academy of Hope and all the things that entails, including this relocation. It is, essential and crucial that the community supports. But I want you to also talk about what truly makes the Academy of Hope a unique experience for students and some of the reasons why parents are choosing to enroll their children at the school. And hopefully that will also give some context as to why it's important to support a school like the Academy of Hope.
So the story that I think speaks to the work of what we're doing here at the Academy of Hope is we had a student that was attending another local elementary school after I arrived, and her parents came in and said, she's a SPED student. We don't feel like we're getting the support that she needs, and we need a new environment for her. And so I said, well, we can try to meet the needs of the scholar. And so when she came on board, I'll be honest that our special education teacher was not excited about that student coming on board because of the amount of services that she needed. And what it said in her IEP was that she needed 255 minutes of one-on-one time with the teacher, and she could only be amongst her peers for roughly an hour of the day. And so once she came to the Academy of Hope, we provided 90 minutes, and we shared with the parents, we may not be able to meet the IEP as it is currently written, but we need to monitor her to see what her true needs were. We found that it wasn't a learning disability that the child actually had. It was more so behavioral, and it extended to some foundational things that extended beyond the school. And so that child went from 255 minutes of one-on-one time to 90 minutes and actually ended up having the highest academic scores in her grade level. Mm-hmm. And so those are the types of opportunities that we present here at the Academy of Hope, where we look at scholars where they are. We monitor and we work with the staff to adjust to the needs of the scholars to get to the root cause of what the issues are. You have to work with students holistically. I have a nephew that is here with us now, and I remember the school that he was attending last year. I attended his IEP meetings, and I shared with them, we have to get beyond punishing students academically for things that come up behaviorally. We have to find a way to separate the two, because my nephew is smart, but he does have some behavioral issues that extend from some root cause issues that are beyond the school. And so what social emotional opportunities are we giving the scholars in school? What opportunities to have them share and give voice, and understand that it's okay not to be okay some days when you come into school. Mm-hmm. What kind of environments are we creating in our classes? Is it still the 1940, 1950, 1960 sit in rows, do as I say, and everybody moves robotically? Or is it truly an environment where if there's a student that needs to walk in circles all day, that we give him the space or her the space to walk in circles as long as they're getting the work done? Because all scholars, especially now, they don't learn the same way and they don't need the same thing. And it can't be this box or cookie cutter way of instructing and engaging scholars. And so we have built in this year a SEL moment for every grade level. They get 30 minutes a day. We are excited to have Ms. Kalia Douglas, our physical education teacher. She's working with us to do some mindful meditation practices with our scholars, do some yoga with our scholars, and that is built into every school day. We also have built in, we've expanded our school hours. Last year we were 8 to 3. This year we're 7:45 to 3:45, because we built in an hour a day of closing the gap intervention and looking at our scores. Our scholars are not where they need to be, and we need to maximize the time that we have them in the building. So we are actually giving them on grade level content for the grade that they are currently in, as well as intervention for those students who are struggling academically to begin closing those gaps. So we have amazing opportunities this year. And again, I said it earlier, the staff we have this year is just simply amazing. Watching them build a relationship with the scholars, going ahead and addressing needs and saying, hey, Dr. Bella, we need to go ahead and get some stuff in place for these scholars. We need to get the parents in. We need to talk to them. The parents coming in and feeling vulnerable enough to just say, I had a parent coming yesterday and she just said, we need help. I know that I need help. Can y'all help me? And we took the time to have those conversations with her about ways that we can truly help her. And the biggest piece is, we have to make sure that the experiences the scholars are having at home replicate what we're expecting in school. You know, you can't give them their way at home and then expect for us to kind of rein them in or channel them when they get to school. We have to work as a village truly to help the scholars understand what's acceptable in the home may not be acceptable in the school or in the community.
Yeah.
But we don't want to take away your identity of who you are, but you have to learn how to be who you are and present your best self at all times.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's, just wonderful insight, because you're right. Learning is different for everyone. Retention is different for everyone. And, a lot of times students are misunderstood because we tend to lump them all into a singular category if they're acting out or if something is going on. But knowing that, at a school like the Academy of Hope, they can get more individualized attention, more one-on-one attention. There's smaller class sizes. There's more room for you to be, and your staff to be creative about student engagement. I'm particularly encouraged by all of the student engagement activities that have been created, and giving students another outlet for expression. Like last year you had the high school musical play and all of the things. And so I think it's wonderful that this is a part of the experience, that it's charter school, because I'm sure that people have that question, what makes it different? Well, you have to really take a long, hard look at why your student may not be excelling, and it could even be related to personality. If you have an extremely introverted student at a high school or middle school or elementary school with hundreds of children, they're going to be more withdrawn and focused on that than they are focused on learning. And so, it's great that there's more of a, I would say, if you think about it, a customized way to deliver education, but also a way to create that more intimate environment where a student can come in and not feel overwhelmed by large class sizes and large groups and, all of the things. And so that's absolutely great. And I'm glad that you shared that. And so there's another question here. Will you have an open house session for the community to view the learning environment?
Good question.
Well, I won't say that we will have an open house session. We did open house, but what I will say is the community is welcome every day to come view the learning environment. We've had people stop by. I've walked them through the halls. I've shown them some of the updates that we've had. I've had them, look through the windows to see the great things that are going on in our classrooms. Again, we have open doors. Anybody who has shared previously that they're willing to become a partner, I've invited them. Hey, why don't you come to the school? To see what you're investing in, to interact and engage with the scholars that you're investing in, because that's really where the investment is. It's in the students. It's not just in the building. And so that is certainly something that we can put together for the community. it was not on my radar, but it's now on my radar to do a community open house. And we will get that information out. I work with Ms. Garner Davis to figure out the best time. I will say we do have something in the works in the background that we were trying to do, and maybe we can marry these two things. The community field day that we were planning in the background. I think that would be a great time, to bring the community together, to give them an opportunity to see the learning environment, but to also just bask in being there to support one another in that process. And a little bit of competition, because I'm big on the competition. So we can definitely make that happen.
Well, here's, I'm sorry, brother. You going to say something? Okay. I think that, all of your messaging tonight has been wonderful, but at the same time, I believe that we need to make sure that the community understands the sense of urgency behind the needs of the school. And so, as Dr. Bellamy mentioned, transparency is key. And I'll say this about transparency. There's a school board meeting. The Academy of Hope has its own school board. The school does not report to the Horry County School Board. The Academy of Hope has a board. And so there are monthly board meetings. There's sometimes special or emergency call meetings, and they are governed in a particular way. There's open sessions during the board meeting where we'll take care of certain business. If there's something that needs to be discussed privately, we go into executive session, but we invite members from the public or the audience who are participating to stick around so that you can hear the outcomes that may arise from those executive sessions. Now, as we think about how to move forward and, what would be helpful for the community, if you want to know anything about, some of the things that have been on the horizon since December, you can certainly go to our website and view the Board of Directors page. There's, public information there if you'd like. But for the most part, as we take a look, and I'm kind of putting on my board member hat right now, as we take a look at all of the needs of the school, one of the things that I believe we need to impress upon the community is that you may have read that article that described it as a purchase of $1.6+ million. However, that does not mean that the Academy of Hope has $1.6 million or that there's a coffer full of money somewhere for this school. What that means is that the Academy of Hope was able to secure this particular facility out of the necessity to move and to relocate the students to a building that is newer, and also to kind of meet the vision of the environment that we at least, are kind of forecasting for over the next 5 years or so. And so, we don't want the community to think, they were able to do that, they have money. That is not the case. The case is that there's always going to be a financial need. And at this time, there's an even greater financial need because of the fact that we're trying to move students into a new building. And it's not even a new building. It's a newer to us building, which means that there's some things that need to be taken care of before we can actually move students into that building. And, that all falls on, I would say most of it falls on the shoulders of the academy. And hopefully the village will rise to the occasion to help. The question earlier was all about the top 3 needs, or, what you think the top needs are. And I believe that for the most part, as we think about how we can best utilize support from the community, always an unrestricted gift is something that can be used across the board in any area that the school actually needs to use it. And also remember, the school is a 501c3. So any donation is a tax deductible donation, and we can provide statements for you. If you want to be a long-standing donor or a long-term donor, we can also, recognize your efforts, provide you with, briefings or summations of how your dollars are being used. There's so many opportunities within the school to become a long-standing or long-term sponsor, a life sponsor or donor of this facility. And, I don't know if the community really understands, who is actually being served through the Academy of Hope. But we're talking about a population of students that is roughly 80+% Black and brown students, and the families that are being served are economically disadvantaged. At least 82% of the families are economically disadvantaged. So it's sometimes a lot to ask even the parents to provide just a little to support the students. And, as a village, we can all come together to make sure that that doesn't become a hardship for anybody, especially the school, as we try to educate the students and give them an environment that is conducive for learning. So, Dr. Bellamy, I will say this, it has been a behemoth task that you have undertaken to move the school to another level. That needle has shifted, and I think the community will see it, especially after the relocation happens. But before then, you have certainly invited the community to come out and check out, some of the improvements. As a board member, I'm making you all aware that the board meetings are open to the public. So whenever we have the monthly meetings, we post them on the Academy of Hope's Facebook page, and then also the website, and they're posted on several pages across social media. So as much as you can, follow the progress and see what's happening. And hopefully that will ignite you to want to support the Academy of Hope.
Correct. And to that end, April, as you were speaking, some things rose up with the move, just baseline. If there are individuals who are listening and you are connected to an organization or someone who is a great painter, or if you are able to donate some paint or are willing to come help us with painting, that's one of the things that's going to be needed in our new building. If there's a plumber who is willing to come provide some support and assistance, an electrician, an architect, a land surveyor, and a brick mason. So that tells you how broad the work is that needs to be done going into our new building. And so if there are individuals who are connected to people who are working in those fields and who are willing to provide those services, and then keep in mind, we're not necessarily saying free, but if they chose to offer those services for free, that is something, because we are a 501c3, that could be a tax write-off for their company or their business. But those are the key areas. Again, painting, some plumbing work, electrical work, architect, land surveyor, and then brick masonry for some of the needs that we have before we can move into the new building. And so I think that speaks to the needs that was asked about in that question.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you highlighted them very, very good. And I thought that list was very appealing. And that's the kind of appeal that we want, and the kind of appeal that we need, because we can certainly use those disciplines. I say we can. I'm just going to make myself part of that.
Yeah, you're part of the village. That's right. Okay. You're part of the village. Yeah. Part
of the village. And so, I'm just going to make this appeal to our viewers, and some people are going to look at this after the fact and look at our tape, which lasts for a week or so, on our website and probably on Facebook too. But they're going to see these kind of things and see how you have articulated the needs and articulated how you're proposing that they be addressed. And I think it's going to be taken under consideration. So I leave with you and say that I'm impressed, and I think the outlook, it looks good, even though you presented challenges, and some people may look at these challenges as real thing is that they can't afford to do this, they can't afford that to do that. But that's what challenges are for. Okay, and you can learn from challenges. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm appealing to our viewers about that. So just one question, Doctor. You had about 5 lists of ranges for donation. The one that's $5,000. Now, I would not ask this question, and you don't have to answer this question. well, at $5,000, you know, like in local language, what do you get? Are we looking for something, or we're just going to say we're putting $5,000? Some people like that. I wouldn't ask that, but a lot of people would. Okay, you said $5,000.
You know what they're getting, Brother Edward? They're investing in the education of our students. They're getting the opportunity to invest in the education. Yeah. The Academy doesn't have anything to give right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
that answers the question. That answers the question.
Yeah, we might have some naming rights somewhere. You know, of course, for all of the donors, we will make sure that they are acknowledged if they want to be. Sometimes people don't want to be acknowledged. Sometimes they don't want to be acknowledged for their philanthropic efforts. But you know, beyond you know, just the idea of investing in education, I think that one thing that could come out of any donors' efforts to support the school is the opportunity to see how an investment in education can change the life of a student. Just like the young person that Dr. Bellamy just talked about in terms of, you know, what their IEP stated versus what they really needed. Imagine if Academy of Hope had the resources to provide more personnel to help more students, then I'm sure that there are a lot of things that could really be taken care of from the standpoint of, you know, student success or lack thereof. Sometimes it's just all about the lack of resources. But, you know, one thing about going into the new facility is that there will be some creative opportunities. And you know what? We're even open to hearing what someone at the Hope Partner level may want to invest in. Maybe they want to invest in a new library. Maybe they want to invest in a new technology center. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, maybe they want to invest in the transportation or whatever. You know, the school is open to all of it. It's open to all. It's an investment.
That's right. I sort of I held that question back for a long time, and I really hesitated to ask that question. But the answer that you all provided, I expected that. Okay, so it was not, I expected that, but I think the information itself needs to get out there to their potential donors. Okay, who may be giving $5,000 or less, and you know. Again, you know, I don't know what people think sometime, but I was in a museum up in Charlotte not too long ago, and these people who gave a number of thousands of dollars, I guess no more than about 10, I believe, something maybe 15. It was at the Harvey Gantt Museum, so to speak, in Charlotte, and they put their names were inscribed on the not just on the wall, but on a plaque or something. Now, I wouldn't want that if I were to do that. I'm not that type of person. You know, but you may have some people out there who just want to leave that lasting legacy on something like that. Okay, so maybe that should let them know that that's a possibility of something like that can happen. Okay.
Yeah. There is a question, and let me remove this from the screen for just a moment, but there is a question. Thank you, Beverly Mitchell, for watching tonight. What is the projected move-in date? That's a good question.
It is a great question. And what I will say to that is the move-in is predicated upon Office of School Facilities and us meeting those financial needs that I mentioned earlier. Our goal originally was to have everyone moved in by October of this year, and it is still manageable with increased and very heightened community support to meet some of those needs. So again, speaking to that painter, plumber, electrician, architect, land surveyor, brick mason that's willing to come in and provide us those services of support. If we get those pieces in place, that becomes a very real move-in date around early October. Without those supports, we're looking at pushing it further into the year around November, December, and potentially into 2027, which is what we really don't want. Again, I can't stress enough the need for us to move into our new location for various reasons. But that is our goal, that October date for sure.
And that's not that far away. We're going to blink in October. We'll be here.
Yes.
Office of School Facilities, they basically come in to assess the viability of a venue that's used for education, and they will let us know what upgrades and things like that are needed. Because you've used OSF, but we want to make sure the community understands what that means. And so, part of what we need to understand as well is that some of those things can have a pretty large price tag on them. For example, if we have to, for whatever reason, upgrade our fire system, and we can't find or don't have a community partner that is willing to do that, then that all falls on, those expenses fall squarely on the Academy of Hope. And again, the efforts are about moving into a newer building, newer to us, not necessarily one of the newest shiny buildings. And it will be a considerable upgrade for the students and for the faculty members. And so, especially in terms of location, because right now the school is located out on Jennifer Bay Road, where Sherwood Drive is definitely more, inside of Conway, and a much, shorter range for any travel, including even bus transportation. So at any rate, someone just texted me and said, yeah, invest in field trips, music lessons for our students. Absolutely. And that's definitely a part of what you can support, because,
absolutely.
The students do enjoy orchestra. They learn violin and other things that were previously offered at the school. And so, we got to have resources to not only bring those things back, but also to maintain them and sustain them at the school.
Absolutely. And just another caveat when you're talking about staffing, because I mentioned we were at a skeletal staff. I don't think the community understands that right now I am the principal, the executive director, the assistant principal, part-time nurse, part-time guidance counselor, part-time social worker, part-time mental health counselor, all of those things. And so normally you have an assistant principal, you have all of those positions filled throughout your school. And that ties back to that average daily membership that I was talking about at the beginning of the broadcast, that when you are not funded for all of your scholars, positions start disappearing. And so we also need support so that we can start bringing some of these positions back, so that there's not such a heavy weight on my role. I've been taking it like a champ right now. And again, I have a great team that's surrounding me, that we're supporting, but we need the opportunities to engage some of these positions with our scholars, so that we're truly meeting their needs without it becoming overwhelming. And understand that with the skeletal staff means that creates limitations on the amount of students we can accept. And we don't want there to be a ceiling for the amount of scholars that are served at the Academy of Hope. But we truly want to be in a position where, and as I would put it, we have a student that's leaving, that left us last year to go to Conway High. And she said she's been back over the summer to say, are you sure there's not a way that you can't add 9th through 12th grade to the Academy of Hope? Because I really want to stay here, especially with some of the changes that are being made in the school. And it warmed my heart, but I had to share with her, that's a process. But that should be an end goal for us as the Academy of Hope, that we're not just pre-K through 8, but that we can actually service families from pre-K all the way through 12th grade at some point in time. And that comes with truly being a school of the community, for the community, and by the community. And so that's just some things that came to mind as you were talking, April, that it is a broad scope, not just, field trips and fun things, but even in terms of human resources. The community support will definitely provide us the opportunity to fill some of those gaps.
what you just laid out was some of the things that a typical person who donated $5,000 would want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, of your future plan, like going all the way to 12th grade. A person wants to know that he or she helped to make that possible.
Yeah,
okay?
That's the investment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the investment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other things are too much to the viewers. I make the appeal to the viewers one more time before we get off the air. Dr. Bellamy has, he's wearing, I think you listed about 6 hats, I believe. And with that kind of sacrifice from a principal or CEO or of an institution like Academy of Hope, I appeal to my viewers again that these are the kind of things that you want to see materialize, and the type of person to run an institution like that. Okay, this is what you want. Now, I don't have to say 5,000 anymore. I can just say 1,000 now, $2,000, but you see what is being sacrificed, and that by Dr. Bellamy. And I think I'm just hoping that this appeal reaches a lot of people because you're going to be getting something for your participation. Say you don't provide money or monetary resource, but your other ways of contributing to the academy. So I make that appeal so that we please. I don't like to use the word please sometimes, but I'm gonna throw that in there this time.
It's a please.
Okay. I'll throw that in this time because you all have gotten to this point, okay, where you are capable of going to reaching the table, and you're going to be engaged in transacting and in being involved with $1.some million worth of negotiating. Let's put it that way, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say, Brother Edward, on top of that. There's been a lot of strategic planning and discussions surrounding all of this. Decisions were not made lightly, logistically, financially, all the things. And at the end of the day, it really is all about how do we deliver the best experience for our students. Absolutely. And maintain the integrity of what we have signed up to do as the mission of the Academy of Hope. And really, It doesn't matter whether or not these students are at the Academy of Hope or any other school. To your point, you want an administrator who is going to, as Dr. Bellamy has put in countless hours, unselfishly, to make sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, all in the name of student learning and success. And I believe that, as people, kind of search themselves about whether or not they should give, want to give, we need you to give. That's the bottom line, because the alternative is, with all the things that we are up against, discussions about closing the school have not been off the table. That is the realism of what we are talking about here. But we've gotten this far by faith and grace, and we are certainly going to keep pushing. As Dr. Bellamy and I talked earlier, things aren't happening just to be happening. Things are happening because we're pushing towards something big and beautiful. And so, we can't continue to live in the past. Even though the past has handed a pretty tough hand to deal with, but we all are dealt tough hands sometimes. It's about how you show up and how you work that hand that you've been dealt.
Absolutely.
And we are working really hard, making sure that we are paying attention to details. Dr. Bellamy has done everything he can to make sure that, things that needed to be reinstated and things that needed to be in place to secure, some sustainability in the school are now taking place. And when it comes down to even more support from the community, there's a great question that Jamal Kinlaw has asked. Thank you so much, Jamal, for joining us tonight. Has the board considered reaching out to our churches throughout Horry County to solicit donations? And the answer to that is yes. we have considered it. We actually have a member of our fundraising committee who is working hard to actually, reach out to clergy and ministers to get these churches involved. Every church in our community should be supporting the Academy of Hope. Every church. When Dr. Bellamy started, his family church actually did a wonderful thing just to show faith in his ability. You want to share that? I was
going to say that is a part of our campaign to reach out. And when we say our churches, I don't want to limit that to Black and brown churches, because there are white churches or Hispanic churches or whatever that are willing to invest in the work that we're doing. And I am going to do these two shout outs at the cost of knowing that both of these pastors will probably get on me after this time. But the Living Word Bible Fellowship Church has been probably our biggest sponsor since I've come on board. That is my family church on my mom's side. And they invest every Sunday. They're sending a check to the Academy of Hope every Sunday. And then secondly, Wellspring Fellowship Church, which is my church, they invest monthly. And so we do that, though. When I say recurring donations, or to speak to what April is saying, these are ministries who have said, we believe in educating young people and we're willing to give recurring donations either weekly or monthly. I will also say about my mom's church, Living Word Bible Fellowship Church, they are willing to go pull out all stops for the scholars. I would say that. And again, they donated waters to the school for the students to have on a daily basis. They covered food and water for field day last year. They covered the entire 8th grade dinner cruise last year, and I love the pastor's heart, because he said, whatever the need is, just call on us and we'll be there, and God will reward us for our faithfulness. And so there is a plea, not just to churches, but again, to the broad swath of businesses, restaurants, whatever, the community at large, really. Mm-hmm. We are calling on all of you to come support. I mean, and it could be something as simple. Again, everybody doesn't have to be financial. And if that's not your thing, but as simple as bringing a box of donuts to say, hey, give this to your teachers during their break. We're thinking about you here at the Academy of Hope. So that the faith part is great. I do want to put a plug in that we are starting this year a faith cabinet, so to speak, for me as the executive director, where we'll be inviting ministers in once a month to a breakfast to just talk about things that they can be sharing within their churches to encourage the positive aspect of education and how they can support scholars who attend their churches. And so we look forward to that. And then we have some other committees that we're starting as well, again, because if we're asking people to pour into us, then we ought to be able to sit down with them and hear from them and share with them to make sure that we are truly becoming a school of the community, for the community, and built on the backs of the community.
And I'll say, Dr. Bellamy, not just churches, but, yes, we have students who are of multiple faiths, different faiths. Absolutely. At the school. So mosque, temples, wherever, to be a part of that particular initiative. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Linda Carter Davis, thank you for watching from Illinois. We really appreciate it. She says, where can a monetary contribution be mailed to? That's what Linda Carter Davis, Whittemore High School class of 62. How do I know that? That was my mom's class. Thank you for watching, Miss Linda. And if you want to donate, and you're old school check writer like Miss Linda, you can mail your donation to the Academy of Hope. Attention, ED Principal Dr. Eugene Bellamy, 3521 Jennifer Bay Road in Conway. And please make your check or money order payable to the Academy of Hope. And as I stated before, it is tax deductible, and you can receive a statement from us to support your donation for tax purposes.
Miss Carter has been an ardent supporter. I tell you.
She supports education now. She
yeah,
supports
yeah.
education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kudos to Miss Linda Carter.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So we appreciate it. Ms. Carolyn Hickman Williams, true supporter of WCM Live. We don't have to worry about.
Yeah, right.
We know she got our back. Thanks, Dr. Bellamy, for your leadership. Yes, we appreciate you, Ms. Carolyn Hickman Williams, so much. And please share this broadcast across your networks. Within your social circles. We even put out a we're gonna put out a challenge to everyone. Get your groups together, your organizations. Again, no donation is too small. The Whittemore legacy is very strong in Horry County still and throughout parts of the country. We would love to do something special even to recognize the Whittemore legacy at the Academy of Hope. So if you want to donate,
absolutely.
and like Brother Edward said, Brother Edward, you can help lead that charge. What can we do to actually identify and create a footprint at the Academy of Hope for the Whittemore? See how I put in the work.
But it's interesting, you said that we can present some nostalgia maybe 40 years ago, since 1987.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be very, very interesting to some people to start seeing themselves what they were like.
Well, we need to spread that all over the place. So that would be great.
Mm-hmm. So we can do that. And so if you want to know, we'll be working on it with Dr. Bellamy.
There you go. Shannon DeWitt Floyd. Realtor extraordinaire. Thank you so much for watching tonight. She says, very informative live. As a community, we can make an impact. And she's absolutely right.
Absolutely. She's making an impact.
Oh, man. Shayla is knocking it out of the park. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Eugene, I know you know Tabitha James.
Yes, I love Tabitha James.
So we thank you all for the support. And you know what? Dr. Bellamy needs these wonderful remarks and these affirmations. And because I'm telling you, he's a hardworking man, and he really and truly, needs this kind of support to just for his health and well-being. And we appreciate it. And Monet Bezant, she's holding us down tonight. Board member Bezant, she says, "Thank you, Dr. Bellamy." So, Brother Edward, I tell you, we'll have to have Dr. Bellamy on once we get a little closer to finalizing all of the details for the relocation. And, we really and truly need the support of the community. I can't say it anymore. And for those of you who know me, my time is valuable. I don't get involved in things that, for me, aren't purposeful. And this is one of them in a million. It's been one in a million as far as the journey with Academy of Hope. Absolutely. But I am pleased to support Dr. Bellamy and what he is doing. And I really want to see the school thrive and survive. And I want to see these students, just feel appreciated and appreciative of all of the things that the staff and administration are trying to do in the name of education for them, because they need it. This special body of students really needs it. So if you can, please donate now. Go to the academyofhope.org donate page. I put up ways to give, and this is going to be kind of the last call to action for tonight, but you can give online through one of the apps that's about to be listed, or you can mail in a check. You can mail in a donation or send in a donation via Zelle using the email address donations@theacademyofhope.org. We're also on PayPal. Just look for the Academy of Hope's logo. Cash App. We also have an Academy of Hope Cash App. It does not go to anybody's personal account. This goes straight to the Academy of Hope. We have a CPA firm that we use that is doing a phenomenal job as far as helping us to manage the finances and get everything in order. So Cash App, everybody has the app on the phone. Go ahead and send in a couple $3. We appreciate it. But also, you can mail in your donation to the Academy of Hope. Attention, Dr. Bellamy at 3521 Jennifer Bay Road in Conway. Make checks payable to the Academy of Hope. So, Brother Edward, you have the final say. Brother Edward, can you hear us?
I don't think he
I
can.
don't think he can hear us. Yeah. Well, then, Dr. Bellamy, you have the final say.
All right. Well, again, thank you for the opportunity this evening to share with our community the heart of who we are at the Academy of Hope. I love what I do. I love inspiring hope in all of our scholars, and I look forward to continuing to serve. And as we say at the Academy of Hope, we are growing hearts and minds on a foundation of hope towards a future of success. And I simply ask for you all to come soar with us so that we can move onward and upward. Thank you in advance for your support. And I know that you will be proud of the work that our scholars do moving forward and everything that comes out of the Academy of Hope. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. And Brother Edward, I don't know if you were able to get your sound back. Can you hear us? I don't know what he did. Well, look. Bye-bye, Brother.
I can't hear, so
You can't hear us?
I hope you all
Okay,
can
all right.
hear me. But
Well, we appreciate everybody
But
watching.
anyway, good luck and Godspeed.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching tonight. And have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook.